Welcome back to the Garza Gaming Channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you my top 3 picks for Guardians that you should own if you don't have an Ultimate God Pack and are looking to spend that hard-earned favor on, right? Or even if you do own the Ultimate God Pack and don't know what Guardian to check out, these top 3 are going to be solid picks, right? Now, some of the criteria that I use for my selections are ease of use, their utility, their escapability, right? And what they bring to the table in the way of teamwork, right? Now, keep in mind, man, these selections are based on my playstyle, my experience, so that's all my opinion. But I think after this video, you two are going to agree that these 3 Guardians are pretty top-notch in Arena, right? But hey, man, without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so moving on to our Guardians, and I have to start my Guardian list with one of my favorite guys, and that's Xing Tang. This is one of those guys that had I never started my YouTube channel, I probably would have never tried, but I tell you what, man, doing research for a build video for this guy and checking out his various different abilities just had me fall in love with him instantly for Arena, right? Now, his passive is not even worth talking about for Arena, but I can tell you that his number 1 is a smorgasbord of goodness, providing initial damage, dot damage, and a crazy debuff that late game can debuff an enemy by 50% basic attack damage for up to 4 seconds, which is craziness, right? Now, his number 2 is also a very unique ability. It does initial damage, then it throws up an enemy into the air and then slams them back down into the ground to do more damage, and then it roots them in place. But what makes this ability so freaking powerful in Arena, it's a small cone AoE damage type attack that can affect multiple gods. That's right. You can actually throw up multiple gods and slam multiple gods down to the ground and root multiple gods, allowing you to CC them to have your team come in behind you and finish them off. Now, I can't tell you that I love doing a 2-1 combo with this god or an alt 2-1 combo, because I'll tell you what, if you time those attacks right, it's just lethal. I'm talking lethal in the way of damage and CC ability and setting up your team to finish off whatever gods are affected by this combo. It's just really devastating in Arena. Now, Xing Tang's number 3 is a 2-step type escape or initiator, right? It's a leap type attack that can be used 2 times. But the cool thing about this ability is when you initially use it, you get protections instantly, right? And if you land on an enemy and actually do damage to them, your protections are refreshed for another 4 seconds. Now, the cool thing about this ability is once you do your initial leap, you have up to 3 seconds to trigger it again to leap one more time. So that allows the utility of this ability to do so many things for you in Arena. You can use it as an initiator, you can use it as an escape. But one way I love using this is kind of like a hit and move type technique, right? So what I do is I do my initial jump in and then go into a 1 and then jump out, or I use it as a 1, go into a 2 and jump out before I can get focused, man. There's so many ways you can use this 3 ability that works very well. But one of the biggest benefits I like using it, this ability is going from an alt into a 2-1 combo and then getting the heck out of the dodge using that 3 just in case you didn't kill, a good bunch of gods that you bunched up. Or after that alt 2-1 combo, use it to run down any stray enemies that are low on health that might have survived that hellacious combination, man. But yeah, that's what I would say. His number 3 is so versatile. You can use it in many different ways. And then goes his alt, man. His alt is just devastating. He spins around like a little helicopter, and every god that he touches with his axe, he sticks to his axe as he spins around 3 times, and then he throws those gods in the direction that you're facing, right? And the cool thing about this attack is it can do up to 5 times damage. So it does damage on the initial hit with the axe. It does damage for each spin that the god that stuck to your axe takes. So depending on what spin you initiated that god into your little death circle is going to depend on how many times he swings around. Depends on how many times he's going to take damage. And then when you throw that god, it takes damage yet again. Dude, this is an awesome attack for snatching up gods that are almost getting to their base. You can literally snatch a god from in their base and twirl them out and throw them out into the wild, allowing your team to focus them down. I mean, there's so many awesome plays that you can do with his ult that is just hilarious, man. But it's also lethal because if you combine his ult with his 2-1 combo, it just makes for a just devastating combination. Plus, just think about all of the other god combos that you can actually combine with your combo to do some epic plays. But yeah, the versatility of being able to do various different damage, Xing Tang's survivability, and his ability to work as a team and set up your team for some really nice plays makes this Guardian, in my opinion, the best Guardian to play in Arena. So another awesome Guardian to own is Atlas, right? So Atlas's passive has a little bit of utility in the way that the more you get hit or the more basic damage that you do, you start generating energy, right, in the way of stacks. And once you get 20, your next basic attack does 1.5 times more damage and can tremble an enemy for up to 2 seconds or stun a minion, right? So that's pretty cool. Now, his number 1, his Unburden, is where Atlas can actually throw his orb into an area, and it does initial damage once it lands, and then it starts pulsing, and what it does is it starts slowing the enemy up to 30% late game for every time that pulse hits them, and then after a little bit it actually explodes. Now the cool thing about his number 1, it can be married with his number 2 to get a Merlin type attack. So what happens is you throw out that number 1, right? So the orb goes out and it's sitting there pulsing, and then you use that number 2 while it's deployed, and any god that's caught within the AoE of his rings gets sucked into the middle of this attack and held there for a little while before being shot into the direction of where Atlas is. So this 1-2 combo or 2-1 combo, the way you want to describe it, can really be used not only to do damage, but it also can be used as a way to set up your team for some really awesome combo attacks. Additionally, it could also be used as a lifesaver if you're trying to save one of your team members that's running for their life, right? By being able to suck the enemy back away from them and into this and hold them into the center of this attack. There's just so many ways that you could use this 1 and this 2 in conjunction with each other that makes Atlas just so powerful in Arena. And speaking of his number 2, in addition to everything I've already stated, that with his number 2 in conjunction with his number 1, if you actually use his number 2 while Atlas is holding that big orb on him, it works as a fan or cone type attack where you actually can suck in an enemy and hold them, and you can actually run with the enemy in your hands for a little bit before he or she gets thrown away from you in the way that you're facing. This is another Capri type attack setup that you can use with your team, right? You can actually grab an enemy and then run towards your team and then throw the enemy towards your team, allowing your team to just focus fire on that enemy that you threw at him, making Atlas just an awesome initiator and as well as a tank, right? Now his number 3 attack is a charge type attack that can cleanse your allies of any slows. And the cool thing is, for every slow that you cleanse off your allies, you actually take in the way of stacks. And then with the number 3, as you're running past your allies, as soon as you connect with the enemy, all those cleanses that you did for on your team that stacked on you gets unleashed on the enemy, up to 3 stacks, right? So for every stack of Unburden that you took off your team gets stacked for 25% movement reduction against an enemy. So you slow an enemy by 25% for every stack of a burden you had on you when you collided with them, making this probably one of the biggest slows in the game, to tell you the truth, at max stacks, which is really awesome. Now, another cool thing about his number 3, not just does it cleanse and do damage, but it can also be used as an escape, man. So this allows Alice to be a little bit more versatile, a little bit more slippery. Now, Alice's ult does damage. It does gives protections. It does debuffs. You know, it does a lot of various different things, but it could be very hard to aim at times. It's not one of the most catastrophic ults of all time, but I don't think that his ult is what makes Alice. I think what makes Alice is definitely that ability to set your team up for some really awesome plays, or save your team with some really awesome plays, combining that 2-1 or that 1-2 type combo. So that's why, you know, just the mixture of survivability, the initiation for your team makes Alice just an awesome addition to any team as a Guardian. Another very awesome Guardian to own is Kumba, man. Kumba is a one-stop chain CC team all by himself. Now, he has a very unique passive. If he gets to 0 and his passive is off cooldown, he gets a second chance at life, right? So unless he's hit with 6 basic attacks plus 1 every 5 levels of Kumba, he actually can come back to life after 8 seconds with 35% health and mana, allowing him to survive death, right? So that's a pretty cool little aspect of his passive. Now, his number 1 is a dash attack that is very unique. Not only can you do damage if you connect with this dash attack, but if you dash and hit minions, minions are belly bumped towards the direction that you're facing, and then use as shrapnel. So for every minion that you launch with your belly bump towards the enemy gets hit with like minion shrapnel, doing really crazy damage, man. This is a very funny and unique type attack with this dash. Now, another utility that can be used with this dash is obviously an escape, because this dash is actually pretty long. So I've used it many times to get out of some really hairy situations, right? Now, his number 2 is also more CC that comes to the table, man. I'm telling you, this guy just has so much CC. Now, what happens is Kumba kind of has a little bit of a wind up, but after he winds up, he comes down with that big giant staff of his and roots enemies for 2 seconds after doing some really nasty damage to them, right? Now, I'm telling you right now, a 2-second root in arena feels like it lasts a lifetime, especially late game. So yeah, that is a very lethal attack. Now, more CC that comes to the table with this god is in the way of his number 3. Now, his number 3 is an instant attack that does a mesmerize, right? So you can actually stun an enemy or put an enemy to sleep for up to 3 seconds, or until somebody does damage to them, right? And then when they come out of that trance or that sleep, they actually debuff both movement speed and attack speed wise. So that is a very crazy attack. And the cool thing about this attack is an area effect attack. So you can actually menace more than one god with this attack, making it very lethal and very awesome to set up your team for some initiation of combos, right? Okay, so with his ult is an epic uppercut. So it's a small dash that when you connect with an enemy, it launches the enemy up into the air. So you get initial damage with the dash when it connects. Then the enemy gets launched up into the air, and then when it lands, it takes some really heavy damage, man. 600 base damage plus 40% of his magical power. But it doesn't stop there. When the enemy comes down and lands, it actually knocks up any enemies that were around the impact of the enemy hitting the ground. So it's almost like a twofer. So yeah, this is actually a very powerful ult for Kumba Karna, especially when you combine it with some of his other attacks, man. It just makes Kumba Karna a very, very aggravating god to play against, but a very awesome god to have on your team because he is just a CC powerhouse that can set up your team for some epic, epic plays. So those were my top 3 picks for Guardians that you should check out if you're looking to either purchase a new Guardian if you don't own an Ultimate God Pack, or a new Guardian that you might be looking at trying if you do own an Ultimate God Pack, right? Hey, do you think that there's a Guardian that we missed? And so put it in the comments down below. But don't just put me the Guardian's name, man. Tell me why you think he or she should have been selected in our top 3, right? And if this is the first time checking out our channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and come check us out every Tuesday at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time in the morning on our new Twitch channel, where we actually hit the arena with all of our Reapers, playing with our subs and followers, right? Again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm Garza, your OG on the GC. See you next time.